Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by Regular Dude. Today I'm going to do a quick video about the Paasche H single action airbrush. So the reason I'm doing this kind of look at it, it's not really a review, but I'm just going to kind of talk about it a little bit because one of my viewers, Cinemaniac, was asking me some questions about airbrushes and for his specific needs. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about this airbrush and really what I like about it. It's an airbrush I've had for a really long time, and I don't foresee getting rid of it ever because I do use it for certain things, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So let me change my camera angle a little bit so I don't bang my head on the camera, and I'll start talking about it. All right, so this is a kit that I bought, a set, at a local hobby shop, and it was like $69 plus tax, which really is a good price for an airbrush, because if you look at some of the double action airbrushes or some of the other single actions like the HP M2, it's quite a bit cheaper. And why they're so inexpensive, I don't know, because as far as I know, they're still made in the United States and the quality of them is really good. But you can get them all over the place. You can buy them online. You can buy them at hobby shops. You can buy them at some of the bigger retailers. Hobby Lobby used to carry them. I was in there today and I saw that they don't have them anymore. I don't know if they're just out of stock or if they don't carry them. But they are readily available, as well as all the parts. And the nice thing about them is they're, like I said, fairly inexpensive, and the replacement parts are as well. So anyway, this kit, as I bought it, came with everything you see in here. You have the airbrush, you have the hose, you have the 3 nozzles you get, and they're each marked with a line, and I can't remember what the exact sizes are on them, but this one is 1. It's got a 1, and you can see that it is, let me see if I can get it out of that shadow. Yeah, it's pretty tiny. And then there is this one, which has got 5 marks on it. I think it might be 0.5 millimeter. I think this might be 0.1, 0.5, and I have the 0.3 on the airbrush. But you can see that's pretty big. That's going to throw a lot of fluid. But it comes with all those. It comes with the matching tips, which are also marked with 1 line, 5 lines, or 3 lines. So that makes it really nice and easy to identify the parts that go together. It comes with this small chrome color cup, which is probably the one I use the most. It comes with a hanger, so you could put it on the edge of your desk, and this hangs right in there. It's pretty convenient. And it comes with these 2 glass jars. One glass jar with just a plain cap on it, a glass jar with a fitting on it to fit on the airbrush, and the Allen wrench to change the tips. So that's everything that comes. It comes in a nice cardboard box too. It's just the cardboard box is kind of big and it doesn't fit in my drawer very easily, so I have that stored in the back. And I just use this in my drawer to store it, and I store it just like this. The only thing it doesn't come with is a fitting to attach to your airbrush if you're using quick release type things. I think this is designed to screw right onto your airbrush, because I think most of them have this size. I think that's quarter inch. I think it's called National Pipe Thread, I think, but it's just a regular 1/4 inch pipe thread like you'd find in a hardware store or whatever. But I think that's designed to screw right onto your airbrush or your moisture trap, which is very recommended if you use a compressor. Okay, so I took the hose off just so it'd be easier to handle and talk about. The thing about these is they're pretty much foolproof. One thing you don't have to worry about is getting any fluids you know, like solvents or anything inside of this part here, which can happen with, say, this type of single action. If you were to like tilt this backwards while you're cleaning it or something, stuff can roll back in here and get into the mechanism and cause you problems like I'm having. I'm going to actually have to send this one off for service because I got some solvent down in here where the rubber seal is. It kept it from getting down into the actual valve part, but it messed up the seal and it sticks now. So a little quick lesson there. But very simple to use. You just push it down, paint comes flowing out. You control your paint flow with this here. Screw it out or screw it in, depending on how much paint you want. You know, you test a little bit, see how much you got, and then off you go. If you're using acrylics and you run into tip dry, it's exposed enough that you can take a Q-tip and clean the tip of the needle off without too much trouble. But, you know, using Tamiya paints, I never have that problem. Using Stynylrez primers, I don't have that problem. But, you know, when I have used water-based acrylics, I have had problems with tip dry, but I can clean it off. Now, the number 3 is the one I use the most because it gives me a good, especially with paint, because it gives me good coverage with a big enough nozzle that I don't have to worry about clogs or anything like that. And it gives me good, you know, good even coverage. And the way it works is you just put your paint in this paint cup, or you put it in this bottle like this. Like if I'm doing a big primer project, I'll use this just because it's holds more. And it just press fits in there and off you go. Same with this. If you're doing paint, fits right there, off you go. So it's really easy to use, and you know, it's just been a very durable and consistent airbrush. I really don't have any complaints about this thing at all. As far as cleaning it, it's really easy. Whenever I use my airbrush, this particular airbrush, I generally do a complete teardown, which is super easy and super quick. And what I do generally is I'll spray some cleaner through it just to get most of it out. And this is only if I'm storing it long term. If I'm going to be using another color in a little while, I'll just run some cleaner through it till it comes out clear, and then I'll use my other color or, you know, primer or whatever. But it's really very easy. You just unscrew that, kind of push it down a little bit, and then you just unscrew this part here until you feel it come loose from this. You slide that out. Now this one's really dirty because I didn't clean it after the last time I used it here recently. And bingo, it's apart. So if you want to change the tips, you just put the other you have to take this off, which just unscrews. I'm not going to unscrew this one, but it just unscrews. Screw the appropriate one on, and then replace with the appropriate needle and nozzle. Okay, and it's just, you just put it back together the way you took it apart. Screw it in until you feel it stop. Push that all the way forward. Give a quick tighten. You're ready to go again. Okay, really is a good airbrush. You know, I think what I'll do, since this is dirty, I think I will do a quick demonstration on how I clean it. And it's very easy. Now this part here, you don't really have to take off to clean it. If you have any crud in there, you can just use a little bit of appropriate solvent or cleaner, depending on what you've been using. In this case, I'm going to use some lacquer thinner. Just going to take that, drop it in there, let it soak a little bit, drop that in there. While that's soaking, I'll get a Q-tip, cotton bud, whatever you want to call it, your wax removal tool, and like that, and boom, it's already clean. Quite splendid, I might add. And that's something else, is the finish on this is really nice, durable chrome. It's not cheap in any way, and you can keep this thing looking brand new pretty much indefinitely. This has been on here for quite a while. I've just never cleaned it off, and look at that. That lacquer thinner's taking it right off. I don't know if this red part is like a bakelite or bakelite material, but it's really easy to clean up, and it's durable as well. So I'm gonna let that soak just for a minute and then come back and show you what else I do. So for cleaning, I have this Iwata cleaning kit, and you don't necessarily need this Iwata cleaning kit or any other cleaning kit. You can make your own with what comes in here, but I just like, because it's in this handy box and I can keep everything together and organized. But in there, you know, I've got pipe cleaners. I've got some little dental brushes that I buy in little packs just from the store. Then I have one that I modified and put on the end of this piece of sprue. I just drilled it out and glued it in there. And it's really quite simple. I get my, I tear a little bit of this off because I like to use a Q-tip on that particular part there. I just remove some of this to where there's still some on there, but not a whole bunch. And I soak it. And I clean it out. And boy, that is shameful. I should be arrested for not cleaning my airbrush right. You can use it without tearing that off, but yeah, I don't know why I didn't clean this up last time. Unless I just forgot, unless I got called away for something. But you can see it's all dissolved down inside of there. And if you don't let it sit like this, well, you can see it. I mean, this has been sitting, I haven't used this thing in over a month. And it is coming off really easily. And you always want to be careful with the tip of the needle. You don't want to bang it on anything or put undue pressure on it and bend it up. Okay, so that's pretty clean there. So then what I do is I take this, and the little hole here where the paint actually comes out, I'll run this in there like that. See all that crud that came out? I'll run that in there a few times. To get that cleaned out. And then this one here that I made, this is good for going in from that end. And you can see it's going all the way to there, so it's getting in there really good. Just like that, and that is pretty much clean. Because what I'll do afterwards is I'll spray some thinner through that. So then I want to clean this part here. I'll do the same thing. This is just a cone like inside there, so it's not going to be that difficult to clean. Clean the outside part there. I'm actually glad I let this sit, because this gives you a good idea of how quickly and how easily this thing cleans up. There's that. So then I'll carefully. Now I wouldn't be able to do this on my own house. See, that's not going to work because it's too small. Okay, you can also use a pipe cleaner. Just be careful you don't jam it down in there and scratch the inside of that. Yeah, that's pretty clean. Once I spray some thinner through there, it'll be good. And then I just dry it off. And see, it's already totally clean. So then we'll put it back together. Tighten that back on. So I'll hook up my my hose and hook it to my propellant source and spray some thinner through it and see how it looks. All right, so here we are. Hook this on here. Put just a little bit of thinner in here. Yep, see, that's totally clean. Nothing dark or weird coming out of there. Okay, that's all there is to it. And to clean the actual cup, I generally just pour some thinner in there and let it sit. And you can use a pipe cleaner to clean down inside of there. Yeah, it's pretty clean. And then the yeah, so that's nice and clean. Same thing, you clean this the same way. You can take this tube off of here if you want to really deep clean it, but I really haven't had to. Again, you can use a pipe cleaner if you get stuff that's caught inside of there. You can just clean up inside of there like that. Last color I used was obviously, I think the last color I sprayed through there, as a matter of fact, through this particular bottle, was Ammo One-Shot Primer. But again, it's real easy. Clean up inside there like that. Inside of there like that. Yeah, it's clean. So we're good to go. So that's all there is to it, really, as far as cleaning it. Now, as far as spraying with it, I wasn't sure I was going to do this, but I think I'm going to, because it should be really easy. So let me get some paint, and I'll do a quick demo. All right, so I've got this red. This is Tamiya paint. It's mixed with a little bit of, let's see, it is XF7 flat red, XF60, let's see, XF9 whole red, I believe. A little XF22 clear, because I like my paint to be a little semi-gloss for whenever I do weathering, and regular old Tamiya X20 acrylic thinner, not the lacquer stuff. This is the, I think it's an alcohol based. So I'll just put some of this in here like that. Put it in my holder so I can clean that off, because I don't like messy paint bottles. And voila, here we go. Okay, it's off. Okay. Now see, you can't, I need something better. Some plastic. Let's see. So you can really control the amount of paint that you're getting out of here. But see, it sprays really good. And this is on bare plastic because, you know, obviously I didn't prime it. Okay, and there you go. Looks pretty good. It does a really good job painting stuff. You know, sometimes I take this poor little airbrush for granted. It really is a good airbrush. And then to clean it, I'll run a little bit of my thinner through it. I use this cleaning pot most of the time, just because I don't like to get too much of this stuff in the air. And it doesn't seal real good, so I do this so it helps keep it from blowing all over the place. And I just run it through. Now, the one thing about a single action airbrush, especially like this one, is it uses a lot. It seems to use a lot more paint than, say, a small double action will. And I don't know if it's because of the way the paint comes out or what the deal is, but it can use a bit more paint. But generally, when you're doing stuff like primer or single colors, it's not that big a deal because, you know, that's kind of the nature of what you're doing. Okay, so that got, what I do is I put some thinner in, spray it out, then I put some more lacquer thinner in the cup, let it sit just for a second, and then I pour it out through the nozzle, and that kind of helps clear out any excess paint that's in there. See, it's pretty clean inside there. I hope you can see it. My light's kind of weird. Let's try this. See that? Pretty clean. So I'll use a Q-tip, sop up any excess inside of there. That in there, that's really clean. And then what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll clean any residual paint out of the inside of there so it doesn't get all over the cup whenever I put it back in. Okay, that's pretty clean. And then what I'll do is I'll get some more here. Let's see what we got. Okay, see, we're still getting some color there. But you'll watch as I spray it. See, it's pretty much cleaned out now. Now, again, unless I do a bonehead move like I did the last time, and I don't do a good job, you know, do a complete takedown. Like if I was going to use this again, say, you know, later today or maybe even tomorrow or the next day, especially if it's the same kit, I don't worry about it as much. Then I would so you can let that sit in there for a few minutes and it'll break down any loose stuff. While that's doing that, take the Q-tip, get a little bit of thinner on here, go ahead and clean around in here to get any of that excess off. Clean the outside while I'm at it. This is really unusual that I would have an airbrush this dirty from sitting, because I must have got called away for something or something, because I'm usually quite meticulous in taking care of my airbrushes. I try to be. So you run that through a couple more times and it's going to be clear and it'll be ready for the next go. All right, so that is a quick demo and cleanup. Okay, so that is the Paasche H single action. So hopefully, Cinemaniac, sorry. Hopefully that answered your questions about this airbrush. As a real quick follow-up and ending to this, one of the other questions was how it compared to this single action. And this is a very good airbrush, except for me doing a bonehead maneuver. The one thing, it sprays really good, and I think the nozzle that's in it would be the equivalent of the nozzle that's in here. I think it's 0.3 millimeter. I think this is a 0.35 millimeter. That's 0.3, if I'm remembering correctly. This gives a little bit broader coverage. So like in spraying, you get a little bit wider pattern maybe, and you can control that by the distance, you know, from the item, from the project. And you can also control, now I was spraying that on 18 psi. I normally don't spray that, no, I'm sorry, 15 psi. I don't normally spray that hot or that high for some things. I'll turn it down, especially for paint. For thinner, I'll use that. For paint, I'll cut it down to 10 or even 12 with this. And it doesn't blow out so hard. So you get a little bit broader coverage, even though it's a little bit bigger tip. You get a little bit broader coverage with this. And I really like this one best especially for doing primers. It works really good. In comparison to this is really nice. This is a great airbrush too. And you can, you know, instead of controlling your flow from this right here, you control it with this right here. Now, the one drawback to cleaning this one is, unless you want to loosen that set screw and pull, it's just more complicated if you want to do a deep clean. And I do frequent deep cleans. It may not be necessary, but I'm just a freak. Like I said, I'm a freak about it. So you can either unscrew it like this and pull it out this way, but the drawback to that is you're pulling paint and stuff through the Teflon seal, and it can gunk up after a while. The way around that is to remove or loosen that set screw, pull the handle off, then take the front end of this off. Use the little wrench that's that's supplied. Take the nozzle out. Take the nozzle out, and then pull the needle through the front. That way you can do a deep clean. You don't have to worry about pulling any paint back into the body of the airbrush. And you know, you can make a mistake like I did and get shoddy and accidentally get solvent or paint or something down inside of here and screw up your seal, which thank goodness there's a seal in there, because, you know, that can be replaced, but I'm gonna have to send it off to have it done. So that is, you know, that's kind of the big difference between the two. You'll get similar results between this and this. Some people don't like having to, you know, mess with this, but, you know, like the siphon feed external type deal. But to me, it doesn't bother me that much. This, you know, being gravity fed, you put it in there, you do your thing, and, you know, you just clean everything out, and you're good to go. So they both have their purposes, and I do use them both. But for, you know, what it boils down to is this. If I had to choose, if I could only have one of these two, like if I could only have one single action airbrush, I would choose the Paasche H. And the reason being is because parts are easy to find, parts are inexpensive, and it's easy to clean. And as you can see, after having let it sit for so long, it was really easy to clean with, you know, some lacquer thinner. And that will work on, you know, lacquer or, you know, acrylic based paints. So if push came to shove and I had to choose between this one and this one, I would probably stick with this one. I've used it for a long time. I've used this one for a long time, but just for overall simplicity, and especially for a beginner or somebody who may not be as meticulous in cleaning their stuff up, this one's going to be way more forgiving, and it's cheaper. You can get a whole set with a hose and everything for probably half the price of this. Now, don't get me wrong, I like this airbrush and this is a good airbrush, but I was asked, and if I had to choose between the two for single action, it would be this one right here. Okay, so that is it. That's my quick little infomercial on the Paasche H single action airbrush. So if you have any questions or comments, want to know anything else about it that maybe I didn't cover, please put them in the comments below and I will answer you as quickly as I can. So thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. Cinemaniac, I hope this was helpful for you because this was done mostly for you. So hopefully it helped. And if it didn't, ask me more questions. You know where to find me. So anyway, thanks for watching and I will see you all later.